How y'all doing? It's Dr. Charm coming to y'all with another episode of 90 Day Fiance Before the 90 Days. Honey, this is season 5, episode 9, and it's called Wake Up Call. And that's exactly what it is. And I had a wake up call myself. I just got back from Jamaica, went there for just 2 really short days. And I got a little tan, y'all. I was trying to come back crispy black. I ain't get dark as I wanted to, shit. But I had some fun. I had a little good time out there. But let's get into this episode. Let's talk about what's going on with this episode. So we open with this whole thing with Gino having sent Jasmine's topless naked photos to his ex-girlfriend. And I am the one that will agree with you when I say that Jasmine is cuckoo for Cocoa Puff. She really, really is. Because she threw a full-out 2-year-old tantrum when he said that he still had decorations in his home from his ex, who I think was from Brazil. And she just laid down and just had a full-out tantrum. But right now, I think Jasmine is justified for throwing a tantrum. Because this guy, he violated her. Who does that? And he sent the ex messages while Jasmine was asleep. Oh my God. So, but the kicker is she starts scrolling back through these text messages even further, and she saw him say something about, I got $250 for you, my sugar baby, I got $250 for you. Y'all, is Gino a trick? Is he a trick, y'all? Baby, Gino tricking off them dollars. So I'm confused as to that first, when Gino first got there and she took him to go get him some clothes for $500. He talking about, I ain't spending that $500. Baby, Gino rather spend that $500 on something strange for a piece of change, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So, yeah, Jasmine she has absolute, I'm giving her laissez-faire to just go nuts. Go crazy, girl, because he didn't really nut it up. And she said, I'm done with you. So I'm going to see if she's really done with him. But she also said, hey, you came here intent on having babies, and I am so glad I kept taking my birth control pills, okay? Ooh, Lord. So it looks like next week's preview looks like she gonna take that hat off. So we finally gonna get to see what that skull looks like. If he got a little milk dud head, or if he got a cranial disorder, I don't know what's going on. But we gonna see what's happening next week. So we move on to Jimena and Mike. So Mike has planned the proposal dinner. He's got the balloons, a cake. I mean, he has everything laid out. It's a very nice restaurant there in Colombia. And honey, Miss Jimena come through with a little bitty dress on, honey. Thotty. She said, hey. Now we see why Jimena got all them cheering with them different baby daddies. But Mike, whoo, Lord have mercy. P.T. Barnum said it's a sucker born every minute. And honey, I think you was in that number, Mike, because I can't believe you finna wife this girl. Oh my God. But her father, like, I'm so proud. I finally got her married off, and he paying all the bills. Because y'all know right now, Mike is paying all the bills in that house. And I think they showed a preview for next week where they talking about, she want money for this, she want money for that. His family is like, hey, you need to slow your roll. But Mike said, ¿Quieres casar conmigo? And that means, do you want to marry me? And she said, see? But the way she was crying, like, I gotta marry this motherfucker. Because y'all know he looked like a little elf. But she said she gonna have to do it. She got to take care of them children. Because then she got that baby daddy in the prison that, we don't know when he getting out, and we don't know where the other little boy's daddy at. And then, it's an assassin lurking out there. She said she ain't seen the assassin in 2 years, but honey, that assassin is lurking somewhere. So she got to have a safety net. Honey, maybe Jimena is trying to take Mike and flee the country, honey. So Mike, they get engaged. She says yes. She takes him to the airport. They're kissing and hugging, very affectionate, and he's on his way to America. And she got engaged, honey. She got her somebody to pay all them bills. So we'll see what happens next week. So we move on to Ben. Oh my God, poor Ben. So Ben sends this long, beautiful poem. I think he's channeling Carl Sandburg. I think he's channeling Ezra Pound. I think he's channeling Gwendolyn Brooks. He says this long thing about love and floweriness and all this shit. And all Miss Mahogany texted back was, because he said he was on his way to San Bartolo to try to meet her because that's where she stay at, supposedly. And she sent him a message back, said, San Bartolo really is far from Lima. That's all she sent him. After this motherfucker done got there, he been waiting on her. Ooh, she's scandalous. She a mess. So he is on his way. He asked the driver, what's a good restaurant here in San Bartolo? Driver told him where to meet. He sends Mahogany a message that says, meet me there at 8 o'clock. Did Mahogany show up? Did Mahogany show up? Did Mahogany ain't nowhere to be found. It's 8:30. He looking at his watch. He like, where's she at? Well, she can't even get here on time. I'm like, get here on time? Did she even say she was coming at all? Oh my God. So this is just a repeat of David and Lana, because the exact same thing happened last season where David had known Lana all these years. David gets to the restaurant and Lana never shows up. I mean, she didn't show up the whole season. I think she showed up the last day he was there or some shit like that. So this is a scam for these girls. These girls are getting money out of these dudes. So moving on to Hamza and Memphis. And I have really had enough of Memphis. Memphis has a spirit of nagginess. Now, ladies, I'm not going to talk about you too bad, but ladies, some of us, and I've been a victim in the past. I've suffered from that disorder in the past of nagginess. People don't understand. Just say something once, and if you don't get the response you want, then you act on it. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to leave, leave. And all this nagging, oh my God. So, they had a good night. They had the little hotel. They wasn't up there with his mom and his sister and the whole family in a little, 2-room apartment. They had a nice, luxurious hotel. And honey, she wake up. Ooh, I had a good night. Did you have a good night? Oh, no, she doesn't talk like that. Me have good night. Me have sexy time. Me, did you enjoy? And he's like, yeah, honey. So she ain't complaining about Mr. Hamza being a 1-minute man no more. No, God. And so they get going, they got the paperwork, and all of a sudden that spirit of nagginess descends on her. Do you have any money saved? I think I want to do a prenup. If you don't have no money saved, like, bitch, you was dealing with this dude for 8 months. You knew he ain't had no money. You knew he ain't had no job, and you still got engaged with him. Come on, now ain't the time to be talking about do you have this and do you have that when you know he ain't got shit. You know he ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. Nothing. But she kept on nagging. That spirit of nagging just took over and just, she went into nagging convulsions. Ooh. And then he finally said, stop. And I was like, okay. That man came up out of him. He said, stop it. I don't want to hear no more about this shit. And she was really, and she was saying that in front of the driver. Like, you don't talk like that in front of other people. Do you got this and did that? That's the number one thing you don't do is make a man feel disrespected. That's a huge turnoff. So she's over here disrespecting this dude when she know good and well he ain't have shit before she even got there. So what's going to change now? So we're going to see what happened. But honey, word on the streets is that Memphis has gotten impregnated by Hamza and already had the baby, and they already done broke up, you guys. Oh, whew, it's that spirit of nagginess, honey. That spirit of nagginess will do it all the time. So we're going to see what happens next week with those two. So moving on, last but not least, is Caleb and racist ass Alina. As I told y'all before, Alina was fired from the show because they unearthed some old social media. And it wasn't that old. I think it was from like 2017. It wasn't really that old. With her with a hip hop hat on, she had a beard and looked like she was in blackface, a dark face or something. And talking about she going to a nigga party. And then they had the nerve to say it was a language barrier. It wasn't no language barrier, honey. We have a racist little person on the loose, Lord. On the loose. She on the loose. So they had to, they got to get rid of them. So we won't be seeing them in the reunion. And then some people complained. I think what I heard was they showed one of their scenes twice in 2 different weeks. So they're scrambling. The producers are trying to get their shit together because this girl has stepped in it. They have excommunicated her from the franchise. And as far as their little storyline wrap up, I don't even know what they were really going to talk about after this because basically Caleb said he can't deal with her being a little person. He thought he would be able to deal with it. He can't. She requires a wheelchair. She requires wheelchair assistance everywhere. He's got to pick her up. He said it's too much responsibility for him. It's too much. And I got to give it to Caleb. I got to give it to him for being real because a lot of people would just lie. But I think after 2 weeks, that's enough time for him to know that she's not the one for him. But what I'm not understanding is they went 13 years and he had never met her. He said he had a different perception of her being a little person because she was always talking to him from the chest up. So I can see that. I really can see that. But 13 years, you guys never met. Did you see any full bodies? You didn't see any pictures of her in a wheelchair? Like, I don't know, Caleb. I'm going to give you some of the blame for this. Like, who's friends with somebody for 13 years and they never met them? But you know what, y'all? I have a friend I've been friends with, and we're very close for 15 years, and we've never met. So we're going to meet this year. But yeah, I guess it can happen to the best of us. But come on, get a full body shot or something. Come on, Caleb. But I think he made a good decision. It turns out she's a little racist, child. So he don't want to be dealing with no little racist. Come on now. Good decision, Caleb. Good decision. So next week, we're going to see what happens. I don't expect to see Caleb and Alina next week because basically they've wrapped up their storyline. Looks like the preview is saying that Mike and his family is saying, hey man, you're a trick. You turned it into a trick. And then it looks like I said, Jasmine is going to pull Gino's hat out and we're going to see what that skull really does look like. So I'm looking forward to next week. Next week is going to be the season finale before they have the, tell-all, the reunion and everything like that. So once again, this has been your 90-Day Fiance before the 90 days review by Dr. Charm. I'll see y'all next week.